To the governing board meeting for February 22nd. I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:00 p.m. Can we do roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Student Trustee Hogan. Student Trustee Cooper. Trustee Withrow.
Sure.
Trustee Jenkins.
Yes.
Trustee Handy.
Chair.
Okay. Trustee Cooper, I see you. Okay, I'll mark you here. Trustee Gonzalez Ewan. Don't see him yet. Trustee Bonilla. Trustee Delphine Polk.
Here.
Trustee Napoleon Valeries.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Vice President Delphine Polk, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I had a feeling you were going to choose me.
I'm predictable.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh. Thank you for that. Move on to 3.4, affirmation of the statement of cooperation. Can you put that on our screen, please? We are still working on our abbreviated version. For those that have joined us before, this is the statement of affirmation that we have agreed upon as a board that we read at the beginning of our meeting and to keep and remind us of the values that we are to uphold. So number one, we agreed to listen and seek to understand others and opposing viewpoints with the expectation of good intentions and a deep commitment to the district students. The board is continuing to work on trust in and among our members. Number three, we commit to being prepared for each meeting and to work within our established communication protocols. When we seek additional information, members will review the agenda in advance of each meeting and adhere to board policy 2340 for adding items to the agenda. Number four, we have reviewed the board's code of ethics and commit to reviewing it annually at our organizational meeting to remind ourselves of the behavior we are to exhibit and the guidelines we are to follow in our role. Number five, if the code of ethics is violated, we commit to follow the process stated in the code and will first address concerns informally to settle disagreements one-on-one between and among members before moving to the formal process. Number six, we agree that from time to time, the chair will remind members of appropriate behavior and may call for a recess or redirect members if they stray from the topic of discussion. Number seven, we collectively recognize that it is within the duties and authority of the chair to render decisions or take actions to keep our meetings on track in adherence to board policy. Number eight, we will strive to fulfill the vision we established for ourselves. And number nine, we will model the behavior we want others to exhibit. Thank you. Let's go on to 3.5, report of action taken in closed session. Madam Vice President, is there a report out of any closed session items?
I don't believe so. Sasha, can you confirm?
I can confirm there is no readout.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to 3.6, approval of the agenda. And trustees, this is that moment in time when if there are any items on the consent agenda that you want to discuss, please pull them out now. And if there are, Trustee Withrow, I see you approaching your microphone.
I'd like to pull 6.1 for discussion.
Okay. Okay, 6.1, can we pull that out? And Dr. McKinley?
The consent, let's see, the item 5.2, no, wait a minute. 4.2, it should only read the PFT and not SEIU Local 1021 or Local 39.
Okay, corrected, only PFT on there, okay. Any other items need to be corrected, modified, extracted? All right, may I have a motion then?
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez UN. Roll call, please.
Student Trustee Hogan,
Here, yes.
Student Trustee Cooper,
Yes.
Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Handy,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez UN,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla,
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. 3.7, approval of the minutes. May I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Second,
Second.
thank you, Trustee Bonilla. Roll call.
Student Trustee Hogan,
Yes.
Student Trustee Cooper,
Yes.
Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Handy,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez UN,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla,
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. 3.8 are Associated Student Government reports from our student leaders. Who do we have in the room tonight?
Hello?
It looks like we
Hi,
have,
Harry.
are you Bilal? Promote him now as well. We don't, Natalie Rodriguez usually presents. Can you raise your hand, Natalie, if you'd like to present as well? Okay, great. I'll move over Natalie Rodriguez as well. And I don't see Harry right now.
Oh, I see Harry. Harry, you're here, right? Okay,
He's
so
already-
Harry's here. Okay, President Austin is here. All right, we've got our 4 individuals. Let's move on to Harry.
Hey, thank you. Good evening, members of the board, Chancellor, and guests. To begin my report, the ASBCC decided in our previous meeting to continue conducting ASBCC meetings over Zoom or remotely for the remainder of the semester. And this Thursday from 12:20 to 1:20 p.m., the AAPI Club will be hosting our Lunar New Year event, where all students are welcome and milk tea and boba will be served at the event. And finally, Club Rush was a massive success with lots of club participation and student attendance. I'd like to thank the Student Life Activities Department for helping with food distribution and making sure all students and clubs got the assistance they needed to successfully table. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Harry. President Austin?
Thank you. Salutations to the Peralta trustees and our district and campus officials. Thank you again for inviting me here today to speak about the work being done by the Associated Students of Merritt College. First, we've recently welcomed on board Sharessa Jackson, who will be taking on the role of Vice President of Finance and Vice President of Communications. Her services will be appreciated as the Associated Students of Merritt College move forward with a series of town halls relating to our equity and inclusion initiatives. In addition to the community building work we're doing at our own campus, we look forward to building cross-district collaborations with the Associated Students of Laney College, as well as the Associated Students of Berkeley City College and the Associated Students of Alameda College, the College of Alameda. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, President Austin. Natalie? Are you in the room?
Thank you all. I apologize for being off camera, and I also apologize for the very loud background noises. Good evening, Madam President, Chancellor, and members of the board. I'm Natalie Rodriguez, Director of Student Activities and Campus Life, and I will be providing tonight's report on behalf of the students at College of Alameda. We've had a lot of student engagement events, which we're very excited to report on. In honor of Black History Month on February 15th from 12 to 1 p.m., Umoja held a virtual meet and greet. Today, we held the 7th annual traditional Black History Celebration Sunday dinner. The celebration included a virtual soul food presentation at 12 noon and delicious grab-and-go lunch at 1:15. This event was sponsored by the COA chapter of PA in partnership with the Office of Student Activities and Campus Life. Tomorrow, Wednesday, February 23rd, from 12 to 1:30 p.m., Clinch Fist Productions, in partnerships with COA's African American Ethnic Studies Department, presents We Still Here, a virtual film screening followed by an interactive workshop with filmmaker and Afro-Caribbean musicians. Pre-registration is required. The event is also co-sponsored by the Office of Student Activities and Campus Life. Thursday, February 24th from 1 to 2 p.m., Umoja presents a community virtual wellness conversation, Our Blood Saves Lives, the importance of African American blood donation. Pre-registration is required. Next Monday, February 28th from 12:30 to 3 p.m., Umoja is partnering with the Alameda County Food Bank to help feed our community through a day of service. For more information, please email jmcgifford@peralta.edu with the subject line Umoja Service. The C2C department would like to honor the realities and challenges that continue to shape the lives of African American people with disabilities, and they have put together helpful resources that you can now access at alameda.edu/BHM. Also, on Monday, February 28th, from 6 to 7 p.m., Acceso will host a study and memory strategies workshop. Registration is required. Links to all events can be accessed via the Alameda website events page at alameda.edu/events. And we continue to encourage students to visit the free produce market on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month between 12 and 2 p.m. We also want to encourage students to stay involved in the current student elections and stay up to date on when voting will be taking place and the campaigns that are to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. And our last student speaker, Bilal.
Thank you and good evening. I have a brief announcement, a very short one. Please join us tomorrow, Wednesday, February 23rd, for the Black History Month closeout here at Laney College. It's a celebration with various forms of entertainment by Bay Area Swahili pop music and dance group from Tanzania. This event will be taking place in the Laney Quad from 12 to 4 p.m. with a break from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Please, if you can, wear Pan-African colors, red, green, and black in celebration with the Laney College Black Student Union in collaboration with the ASLC. As well, I am working with across the whole Peralta district, Peralta-wide district, a hackathon we're planning. We will also allow Oakland Unified School District high school students to participate. This will allow for engagement for enrollment. As we hope, it's going to be a memorable event for years to come. I've spoken with a few leaders, student leaders across the district, and I'm very excited on that event that will be on March 26th. Thank you.
Thank you, Bilal, and thank you all student leaders. Let's move on to 3.9, Peralta Classified Center Report. Terrence? We can't hear you, Terrence.
Can everyone hear me now? Great.
Sure can.
Okay. Good evening, President Reese, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Jackson, presidents, and guests. Tonight we have two Classified Senate campus reports. First report comes from the Merritt College Classified Senate. The Merritt Classified Senate is currently working on their classified prioritization list for this spring 2022 semester. The second report comes from the Laney College Classified Senate. The 4 C's gathering of the Senates will be this Friday, February 25th at 10 a.m. It is an in-depth discussion and brainstorming of what classified professionals statewide wish to talk about. The agenda will go out tomorrow with Zoom information. The Classified Leadership Institute, CLI, conference takes place from June 8th through June 10th and will be held in Riverside, California. The above information was sent out to all classified professionals today. Please reach out to Hope Lane at HLANE@peralta.edu for more information. That is the end of the campus reports. Thank you very much for your support of the Peralta Classified Senate.
Thank you, Terrence, for that. Let's move to 3.10, District Academic Center Report.
Good evening, President Bellaris and members of the board and Chancellor Jackson, the presidents and guests. As you know, we are in week 5, and that we are we're going to be going into doing our class schedules in the next few weeks for summer and fall. And part of the issue that you as chairs and for deans to discuss is what's the balance of classes that you have face-to-face and the balance of classes that you have online. I think that the Omicron threw a little wrench into it in terms of the number of students that we have on campus. It looks like for these late start classes that we're doing better in terms of filling them, but it's always a concern of how much presence you want on campus and how much presence online. For many of the classes, you get more students online than you get necessarily in face-to-face. And that issue all the time comes up because certainly we're trying to ensure that we maximize our FTES, and that affects ultimately our FTEF. And so part of this is going to be a very interesting discussion as we go forward, and hopefully we'll have some sense of what the students want. I think the focus should always be on students and what they want. Unfortunately, we're currently right now going through a district-wide survey of students and what their preferences are and different issues that may be coming up. And so I hope that faculty and staff urge students to take part in this survey. The survey needs approximately about 6,000 students to sign up for it or to do it. And so it's going to take a district-wide effort to try to get the number of students that we need. I just think it's unfortunate that we're doing it right when we're doing the schedules for summer and fall. So I think that more and more we're going to need more FTES in terms of students coming in. Whatever help that the district can provide in terms of enrollment management. I know that you guys are going to be talking about it a little bit, but this issue is a grave issue because of our overall low enrollment that we've been having these number of years. So please look at it. I think that part of the debate that's happening among faculty is around pedagogy in terms of the usefulness of having very, very large classes versus classes that are more reasonably sized and working with the populations of students that we do. And I think that as we go along, you'll hear more and more from our faculty. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Donald. Let's move to public communication, 3.11. Madam Vice President, Madam Board Clerk, not sure who's taking this over. Sasha?
I see one hand up.
Jennifer Sanowski, I'll move her over. Okay, Jennifer is with us now. We have also, oh, no, that's all I have for right now. Let's see if anybody else raises their hand.
Okay. Thanks, Maisha.
Hi, good evening. I'd like to start my comments tonight by reading from an article that came out in the East Bay Times a week ago. The article was written by Matthew D. Hendricks, was published on February 16th, 2022. Starts, research has long established that to create a high quality school, one must employ highly effective teachers. Outside of improving teacher quality, no other policy interventions seem to significantly impact student outcomes. Yet higher education is full of administrators who ignore this important fact. They push policies that grow administrative spending while shrinking budgets for faculty and instruction. These administrators often severely damage their colleges, leaving them with bloated administrative budgets and a demoralized and inexperienced faculty. In this environment, student outcomes, enrollment, and retention inevitably suffer. End quote. This article was about Mills College. And one of the primary reasons for the closing of Mills College was the overspending on administration and the underspending on student education. We recently found out that the district has handed down FTEF allocations that once again are slashing the number of sections we'll be offering by almost 10%. These allocations came to the colleges not through any shared governance process, not through any dialogue, not through any clear rationale for why we're cutting again. They came by email to the college presidents from the outgoing VC of Academic Affairs over the holiday break. Faculty leaders tried to get these numbers and were met with opposition until we were finally provided them about a week ago. I would just like for all of you, as you listen to the presentation on the governor's budget, and you hear how our funding is remaining consistent, remaining constant, right? We haven't had a budget cut. I'd like you to recognize that since the 2017-18 year, 5 years ago, from the proposed budget year next year, we have cut 26% of our FTEF. Not 26% of our faculty, 26% of our FTEF, which amounts to about 1,600 3-unit classes. And I'd like you to think about this question and try and posit an answer, which you don't have to give me, but you should give
10 seconds.
I'd like to know how your decisions and how your spending priorities are supporting our students. Thank you.
Okay, I've also moved over Richard Foley.
Hi, thank you. Maisha, I want to confirm, were there others that ceded their time to me?
I haven't gotten notice that anybody has.
Okay, I'm being told that perhaps it's being dropped in the chat. All right, well, just let me know if in fact you do see that. Let me turn on my camera. It's been some time since I've been to make public comment, at least turning my camera on. So good evening. Good evening to the public, the community. I'm not here to talk about myself though. What I am here to talk about is to really question where we're at as a district. One of the reasons I ran a couple of years ago for chapter president of SEIU 1021 was because there are a lot of things that were going on in the district and a lot of things that were not going on in the district, some of which are going on now to this day. So I want to give some examples real quickly. There's some real, there's conversations out in the public where we're talking about, labor force and workers' rights and respect for working class families. And I want to bring two examples of, where I want to put this out and ask what kind of administration, the chancellor wants to run and what type of board of trustees wants to be representing their constituencies, right? I'm in the community. I actually am represented by one of the board members. And many of us classified professionals live in the community. Our kids go to the schools here. Many students will become your employees, will become union members, okay? So one of the first issues I want to bring up is the fact that we have four members who 5 years ago submitted a reclassification request for work that they wanted to be acknowledged that they were working in a higher classification, right? That was awarded to them 2 years ago. It still hasn't been completed. SEIU has finalized edits to their job description. We've provided a counter proposal to Human Resources. That was done in December. I sent a follow-up email maybe a week or two ago, and it's just been ignored. I've sent that to the Chancellor, sent that to Human Resources, the directors there. I've yet to receive a response. 4 people whose work has not been acknowledged yet. They have not been compensated for work already performed for several years. Where's the respect? Okay, where's the respect for working class families, for working class people? What kind of board do we want? What kind of chancellor do we want? What kind of administration do we want? Okay, another instance is back in September of 2021.
You have 10 seconds remaining.
Say again?
You have 10 seconds remaining.
I'll finish this up in 20, please. We sent a cease and desist letter to Chancellor Jackson in relation to a letter that was sent from a resigning administration. In that letter, that administrator did share some concerns directly with the Chancellor and said that they are particularly concerned with Ms. Tier, who was our chapter union vice president, who has been targeted. I would really dislike thinking that this behavior will continue and perhaps escalate in my absence. I will not name that manager, but that was sent to the Chancellor. We've had several follow-up meetings with the Chancellor directly and with Human Resource to see, if they're going to follow their own policy and go through with an investigation. We have heard nothing yet. We're told we're going to follow up. We're going to follow up. We're going to follow up. But as it is now, we have no follow-up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like we have Fee Lee. Hope I'm not butchering your name. I'll promote you as panelist now. He's not coming. Okay, there he looks like he's coming over. Go ahead. Are you there, Fee?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to see my time for Richard to speak.
Thank you. And there may be another couple others. So if you're on the line, please let Maisha and the board know that you're ceding your time to me right now. So I'll go ahead and continue then. I don't really like being rushed, especially when there's so much to bring up. But I'm really just bringing up timelines. I want to be factual, and oftentimes I speak from emotion, and it may seem that I'm getting riled up. So I want to make sure that I'm, putting out some timelines. Back in September 21, we emailed the Chancellor, and actually the whole board was copied on that message where we asked the manager to cease and desist harassment of our member, especially as the vice president of our chapter, when they're doing union business. We have yet gotten a response. Like I said, we sent a follow-up email just last week because I think it's per the AP policy, AP and BP, Board Policy 3430. The district requires supervisors to report all incidents of harassment and retaliation that come to their attention. So when something goes directly to the Chancellor, why does it take since September to acknowledge this, to investigate it, to come back to the union and actually have a thorough and informed and educated response? We have yet to get there. So it looks like we're going to have to go ahead and proceed with formal complaint process since the district is not going to follow their own administrative policies. I don't know what's going on. So I need someone on the administrative side. I need the board to step up and actually speak up, for our working class people, because the workers that you have in the future are going to come from the community. There are current students. There are current hourly workers. They're the current students that whose schools are being shut down in Oakland Unified. right? So we want to be able to welcome them and respect them, make sure that we could take care of our families, make sure that we could secure, a good living moving forward. Many of our people work 2 and 3 jobs for different reasons. So I just, I don't know where this blame is being placed. All I know is that we are doing our job to email, to communicate, to write letters, to meet. It's been several years. So I'm asking, who is this on? Who is going to respond to us? Who is going to take this up and actually be a champion for the folks? We have a lot of our Board of Trustees members who ask for endorsements when they run for election. And I want to say that, several of the board members, if not all, have been endorsed by labor in the past. I want to see that follow-up. I want to see that follow through, because if you're not compensating, if you're not treating your employees with respect, how then do you expect to extend that same treatment to the students? How do you expect classified then to turn around and treat,
sorry, you have 10 seconds. Sorry, Richard.
Thank you. Students with that respect, if we in fact are not getting that ourselves. I'm just saying, if you treat your workforce with respect, that respect flows downhill and will be passed on to the students and community. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Fu Li. I've promoted you. You can speak now. Fu, are you there?
Oh, hi, my name is Fu Li, and I would like to seize my time to Richard Tolliver. He can speak for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Richard.
Thank you. So I will go back, to the reclassifications. We had 4 people. So in all, when I was elected in 2018, there were 21 pending cases between the district and the union. I worked very hard, with my coworkers, with my team, with our union, to hold those hearings with the pay specialist. That independent third-party pay specialist identified that 19 out of those 21 cases, folks were working out of their class in a higher capacity on a permanent basis. Okay, several of those have already been addressed. Some of them moved into classifications that already existed. There was no need for negotiation of salary or job description. And so what I did is I worked to prioritize, to make it more manageable for HR, especially we had an incoming HR team, and I wanted to give some time and really opportunity to address this without me having to do what I'm doing now. And so this shouldn't be a surprise, at least not to the administration that's listening right now. In that prioritization list, we had 7 individuals, 6 or 7. We still have 4 pending, and there's still another 3 or 4, or I think actually 5 or 6 that need to be addressed. And that's only addressing issues from 2017 and 2016 and 2017. We still have 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. And those are everyone who are submitting reclassification requests saying, I'm working in a higher classification. Can you please do a desk audit? Ensure that I'm doing, let me know if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. If I'm doing work of a higher nature on a permanent basis, I need to be compensated for that. That's per the union contract. Some of that is per ed code. And so this is just a building issue. So part of my communication is to any of the classified professionals out there too. What do you expect of your administration? What do you expect of your board of trustees? You live in the community. You have a vote. We have a voice together. If we have 30 to 50 people waiting up and, to be identified and acknowledged for the work that they've already done and are waiting for a hearing, or they're waiting for their reclassification request to be, researched and for them to be interviewed and acknowledged, how long is the holdup and the wait going to be for those individuals? Do we have to wait till 2030? And do we have to wait till I'm no longer there, till those people are retired? So I'm going to keep coming back, and I'm going to keep asking folks to cede their time until this gets addressed, because I feel that the district is waiting purposely until folks retire, until folks move on, so they no longer have to pay them, so they no longer have to pay that expense for work that's already been completed. So
your time is up, sir. Sorry.
Thank you. And I'll come back.
And I believe that is all we have for public comment this time.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to 3.12. Chancellor's reports. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we hear you. Dr.
Okay.
Jackson.
Thank you. I was just trying to find my unmute button. Good evening, everyone, Board of Trustees and colleagues. I'd like to have the presidents make their presentation, and our order of presentation for tonight will start with Merritt College, followed by Laney College, then College of Alameda, and finally Berkeley City College. So I will turn over the mic to Dr. David Johnson at Merritt College.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Chancellor, President Napoli Bella-Reese, Board, fellow presidents, community members, and colleagues. This is the report from Merritt College for February 22nd. Take you back to last Tuesday, February 15th, Merritt convened a joint strategic enrollment management / educational master planning task force meeting to examine and address some of the prevailing and persistent challenges we face in the terms of the recruitment and retention of students. We recognize that COVID-19 obviously has had an impact on our enrollment numbers, and it's going to have a long-term impact on the way that our institution will function going forward. But we also have to concede that some of the challenges that we're facing, if we're being honest, some of those challenges were endemic even before the pandemic. And that's important for us to acknowledge if we're going to ever surmount them. So with that said, here are a few of the areas that we're planning to address. Just three. First, improving our procedures with regard to admissions and registration, counseling, and other services by leveraging technology. We need technology that automates processes and creates a seamless and successful student experience. Two, being intentional and unapologetic about directing resources and support to programs and initiatives that focus on the success of those groups who continue to have incommensurate academic outcomes. And three, reviewing our classified and faculty prioritization, recruitment, and hiring practices to ensure that the people that we bring on and bring in to Merritt College, irrespective of their role, are committed, equity-minded employees. So as president, I'm pledging to do that. I'm confident that Merritt College has the will and the ability to make those things happen. Now, another thing that's related to improving student enrollment is having effective outreach. So toward that end, last Wednesday, February 16th, two of our Merritt employees decided to, in their words, these are their words, this is their slogan, to think over, beyond, and outside of the box. So what does that look like? Well, in this case, that looks like Margie Rubio from Next Up and Tahita Anderson from Sankofa doing an impromptu drop-in, check-in on 4 of the Oakland Unified School District schools. They went to Tech, they went to my alma mater, Oakland High, they went to Castlemont, and they went to McClymonds. And as you might expect, the students, the teachers, the administrators were pleasantly surprised to see these two walking the halls. And they met with counselors, they met with principals, the college liaisons to share program information, not only for Merritt, so sister presidents, sister college presidents, they shared information and program information for BCC, COA, and Laney. So we kept it, we kept it family. So given the fact that I think that Margie and Tahita both are Oakland natives and Merritt graduates, I think that their message to the students and our community members really resonated. So I just wanted to take a moment to recognize their efforts, as well as the efforts of our outreach coordinator, Miss Maria Spencer, given her role. So I just wanted that to be said. Finally, I'm inviting everyone here and everyone within the sound of my voice to the Merritt Day of Appreciation, was going to take place on Tuesday, March 1st, so a week from today. So we're going to be providing breakfast, free breakfast for faculty, classified professional staff, administrators, and students, anybody that wants to come from 9 to 10:30 And then we're gonna switch it up and come back noon to 1:30. Free lunch for everybody, okay? We need you to RSVP so I know about how many lunches to pay for, how many breakfasts to pay for. But it's really just our intention to convey our gratitude for a number of things. And that's number one, the privilege of serving our students, the occasion to do it at Merritt College, and the opportunity to keep getting better every day. So we look forward to seeing you there. I'm serious. I want to see some trustees there and whoever else can come. Good eating. So that's the report for Merritt College for this evening. Thank you.
Good evening, Chancellor Jackson, President Napoli Abella Reese, members of the governing board, students, colleagues in education, and valued community members. I'd like to pick right up where our student body president left off earlier in the meeting and echo the invitation tomorrow to come to the Laney College Quad from 11:45 to 1 and or 2 to 4 p.m. to enjoy Swahili pop music, dance from Tanzania, light refreshments, and more. The Quad's an amazing place when there are vibrant activities going on, and I'm sure that tomorrow will be no exception. And as I shared in my last board report, just an immeasurable gratitude to all who have made Black History Month the success that it's been throughout our district. So last week during Valentine's Day, maybe you were in your car and you happened to listen to 96.1 FM KJTZ Encinal Radio. If you did, you might have been lucky enough to hear a radio spot with our very own Professor Doug Bruce in the biotechnology department being interviewed. This was an engaging conversation and certainly shows the outstanding work of our faculty, but also a great partnership. And for that, I would like to extend gratitude to Checker Spot, which is based in Alameda. Earlier in the semester, they welcomed students who are enrolled or dual enrolled at Laney and Encinal High to tour their facility and learn about sustainability, specifically algae-based oil production. And I think this is really an awesome thing because it really shows our classrooms as being very meaningful. Because at the same time, in their classrooms, in these great learning environments, they were learning to grow the very algae cells that Checker Spot is using to produce this same bio-based oil. So I want to say thank you to Checker Spot CEO Charles Dimler, as well as Communications Director and Fermentation Scientist Nina Reyes, just for their collaboration and partnership with Laney College and with Peralta. And just, I always get excited when I talk about partnerships, and I think this is yet one more that's showing great things to come. Also, regarding the radio interview, in your board report that is available, there are hyperlinks that go right to the interview. So I invite you to listen to it and to enjoy and to learn a little bit about how to make our planet a bit more sustainable. Finally tonight, I'd like to share or put in the spotlight one particular area of our college and really our colleges across Peralta. In the case of Laney, I'd like to touch on something you may in other circles know as DSPS, but at Laney College, it's known as Student Accessibility Services. This is a really great office that helps students in need of accommodations to really have that optimal learning experience that we chase with all of our students. Whether it's testing accommodations, note-taking, or whatever other support that's needed, students are getting that support not only face-to-face and getting that personal attention, but also virtually in a manner that's here to stay. As you look at your board report tonight, I really want to extend a congratulations and appreciation to the 10 great professionals in our SAS program, with Coordinator Nate Failing reporting to Dean Diane Chang. We have some outstanding classified professionals, Alex Cervantes, Chelsea Young, who's featured in my report this evening for the great testing work she's doing, Kim Kale, Alexandra Seifer, and among our faculty colleagues, Miriam Zamora Cantor, Irina Rivkin, Jessica Aoyoung, Jim Giola, and Sydney Wong. This has really been a great collaboration, and a lot of the time, it's something that really keeps our students engaged and keeps them in that learning experience. And I just want to take my board report tonight and put the spotlight on them. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Good evening, President Reese, trustees, Chancellor Jackson, colleagues, and community members. The month of February is wonderful because it affords us the opportunity to celebrate treasured values of love, diversity, community, and tradition. At the College of Alameda, we honored our diverse traditions and community. We celebrated the Lunar New Year and the Year of the Water Dragon. The Water Dragon comes up every 60 years and represents strength, bravery, and clearing away evil. The message that went out to our students, faculty, and staff encouraged embracing the beauty of our shared humanity, the strength of unifying values of love, compassion, and empathy, and the courage to face and confront evil in all our communities and the world as we do the important work of transforming lives through education. I had the wonderful opportunity to participate in College of Alameda's Black History Month event this afternoon. Celebrating our history, rich reflection on Sunday dinner. The event was sponsored by COA's PAW and Office of Student Activities and Campus Life. I was honored to have been one of the presenters along with Professors Rochelle Olive, Jody Campbell, as well as Reverend Brenda Lewis. Sunday dinners are a rich and important part of the African American experience. Fundamentally, it is a celebration of love, family, and tradition, expressed through faith, fellowship, and of course, wonderful soul food. I would like to thank our Black History Month committee for a wonderful event. Members include Jody Foster, Rochelle Olive, Carla Peggers, LaShawn Brumfield, Natalie Rodriguez, Sean Foster, Selwyn Montgomery, Ben Hitchison, Lamar Rice, and Carmel Moore. Also, the College of Alameda family was encouraged to envision our role as contributors to and facilitators of life-transforming education that leads to, among other things, greater health and well-being of our students by examining the nexus between education attainment and health status by reading the article, Racism, Inequality, and Healthcare for African Americans by Jamil Taylor of the Center Foundation. In support of community and service, as our student director indicated, the Emoja community is holding events dealing with blood drives, as well as community service for the Alameda County Food Bank, as well as our continued support for food insecurity by providing the free produce market. Lastly, I would like to welcome David Noen to the College of Alameda as our new Acting Director of Financial Aid. David has a wealth of knowledge in financial aid with over 15 years of experience, previously working at Laney College, College of Alameda, and most recently as the Financial Aid Director at the district. Dave worked diligently to institute key financial aid policies and ensure regulatory compliance. He's also helped to build and advance key student aid initiatives and programs that increase awareness of and access to student aid for our low income and underrepresented populations. Dave graduated from the University of California, Berkeley, with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Cognitive Science with a focus in psychology. He recently completed a Master of Science degree in Educational Leadership from Cal State East Bay. This ends my report. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Good evening, President Napola Belli-Reese, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Jackson, colleagues, and community members. In addition to the written report submitted for Berkeley City College, I'd like to highlight a few items. The first is that last Wednesday, February 16th, the Classified Senate held a meeting and an event for classified professionals where information on COVID-19 prevention strategies, shared governance engagement, and campus-wide community building all took place. I had the privilege alongside my fellow administrators to serve lunch to our colleagues to acknowledge their work, commitment, and service to students and the college overall. This appreciation luncheon was a collaboration between the Classified Senate leadership team, Andrea Williams, Gail Pendleton, Pumi Sayovong, and the leadership team, specifically Veronica Montoya and Stacy Shears. I have to say that one of the highlights was that, yet again, as we had more colleagues join us, I was meeting folks for the first time. So this May 7th will mark the end of my 2 years at Berkeley City College, and I'm still getting to have that first day of school feeling, meeting new colleagues, in some cases being seen as other colleagues. So there are moments where apparently Andrea Williams and I could pass as sisters. So that was fun. And it just provided some lighthearted energy, but most importantly, an appreciation for the work that our classified professionals have been doing since the pandemic began, and certainly in our increased services throughout these last weeks and months. I also would like to share that the progress in our design build process for our new building on Milvia Street is well underway. It's really hard to believe that just last year in April, this process launched with the board approving the work. And we've been working diligently with our colleagues in DGS to hold building user groups. Those of us know them as bugs, last summer, fall, and now this week. Later this spring, BCC will host a spring town hall to share the most recent design renderings and areas for community engagement regarding art in the building and community spaces. So when that is up and running, we'd like to invite all of you to come see the progress of this new building. I want to take a moment to share appreciation for the writers and the editor of The Citizen. This week, the ASBCC president, Harry Mapodile, was profiled, and we all had a chance to learn just a little bit more about this remarkable young man. But most importantly, it honors the journalistic work of students who produce The Citizen. And I want to take a moment to, again, thank them for their continuous engagement at Berkeley City College and throughout the district. And lastly, I want to share that I'm proud and grateful that we are going to have 12 Berkeley City College scholars accompanied by Andrea Williams, our Transfer and Career Center coordinator, as well as Classified Senate president, and Jimmy Curtison next week for the AMEND conference, the African American Male Educational Network and Development annual conference. In alignment with BCC's equity work to increase African-American student success and completion, I really do wish the BCC scholars and colleagues a productive conference filled with community, celebration, and hopefully materials and programs and services that they can bring back to BCC as we continue our work to close equity gaps. And that kind of information will also set the tone and the drive for what is our continued work around strategic planning as we continue to work on our EdMaster plan and revision of college strategic plan. So with that, that concludes my remarks for this evening. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the presidents, and I also would like to take the opportunity to thank Dr. Francisco Herrera, who is also in attendance, for working diligently, even though he's only been with the district, maybe not even 6 months, to get our student survey completed and to get it out there. And as District Academic Senate President Donald Moore indicated, really want to encourage our students to fill out the form, to fill it out and get it back to us so that we can make some decisions based upon data in terms of our course offerings for the future. So if our student trustees can help to push that and our campus student body presidents to push that, it would really, really be appreciated. That way we will offer what students want. So again, if you know of a student, tell 2 or 3 students that you know, send out a text message, use your platforms so that we can do some real planning based upon what our student needs are. And with that, that concludes our Chancellor's report, and I will turn it back over to President Reese.
Great. Thank you, Chancellor, and thank you, President, for all that you do and for these wonderful reports. Trustees, do I have any questions or comments for either the Chancellor or the President? Seeing none. All right, let's go to 4.4. 4.1, public hearing and action. We have 2 public hearing items. The first one is the presentation and adoption of final Board of Trustees boundaries maps. It is the final public hearing. So as it's a public hearing, this being the time and date noticed, the Board of Trustees will now convene a public hearing to receive public comment regarding the final Board of Trustees map listed on the agenda. Gavel in. Are there or were there any public comments for this public hearing? And are there any members of the public that would like to address this meeting? Aisha, Sasha?
I see no hands raised. No, ma'am.
Mr. Westall? Okay. Mr. Westall, would you like to present the final maps?
Sure. Thank you, Madam President and board members. It's great to see you this evening. Let me just share my screen here and we'll briefly go through the proposed final map. All right. So much like we discussed at the last Board of Trustees meeting, this is the same map that we showed you a couple of weeks ago. And so we'll just briefly go through it and show it to you again and go through the statistics and see if we're in agreement here. So with that, here is the new map of the Board of Trustees areas as we developed with the subcommittee. And thank you very much to the trustees that helped us with that. And so this is once again the draft map and the final proposed map. And here's the same map with an aerial overshot. And we'll just once again briefly go through each of the trustee areas. So we'll start with trustee area 1, which includes all of the city of Alameda and portions of the city of Oakland. Trustee area 1 has a deviation of 0.7%. Next up, we have trustee area 2. Trustee area 2 includes communities all within the city of Oakland and has a deviation of 0.2%. Next up, we have trustee area 3. Trustee area 3 also includes all portions of the city of Oakland and has a deviation of negative 0.8%. Then we have trustee area 4. Trustee area 4 includes all of the city of I want to say Albany and Alameda were coming together in one word in my mouth. So the city of Albany and and portions of the city of Berkeley and portions of the city of Oakland. Trustee area 4 has a deviation of 1.7%. Then we have trustee area 5. And trustee area 5 includes all of the city of Piedmont and then portions of the city of Oakland. Trustee area 5 has a deviation of 0.4%. Then we have trustee area 6, and trustee area 6 includes portions of the city of Berkeley and the city of Oakland. and has a deviation of negative 2.2%. And then last up, we have Trustee Area 7. And Trustee Area 7 includes all of the city of Emeryville and portions of the city of Oakland, and has a deviation of 0.0%. And so just briefly, once again, in terms of the numbers, the overall deviation for the trustee areas under the final proposed map is a total of 4.0%. You may recall in our previous discussions that this number has to be less than 10% for it to be presentably legally valid for a redistricting map for the community college district. If I didn't mention it a couple of weeks ago, we do feel that this map meets all of the requisite legal criteria for the adoption of a redistricting map. And so with that, Madam President, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any comments or questions from the board.
Great. Any questions, board members? Again, thank you for the subcommittee. Thank you to the subcommittee for coming together on such short notice and working hard to get this done. All right, one more time, any questions from the public? Any comments from the public? All right, since there are no comments, I will declare the public hearing closed, gavel out. And I see a comment from Trustee Withrow.
Just a question, looking at the map, and Trustee Area 2, it encloses the Oakland Airport, but it looks like it included the Alameda Business Park out there.
So in, let me make sure I have my, hold on here. I'll bring up the map so we're all looking at the same thing here, Trustee Winter. So if we go to Trustee Area, and it'll be easier if we do this, Trustee Area 1 here, this boundary, if you just follow my mouse along, this boundary here is the boundary for the city of Alameda. And so it comes down here, all the way around here, and then back around here. And so everything on the other side here is in the city of Oakland. And so this portion of the airport that's here, it looks like there might be a small piece that's actually in the city of Alameda, but all of the city of Alameda is included in Trustee Area 1. When we get to Trustee Area 2, this is all within the city of Oakland here. So once again, this is the Alameda and Oakland city boundary here. It's very similar to the current boundary between the two trustee areas. The only change that we made is there was one small area up here, which was currently in Trustee Area 2. It's actually in the water here. So this area right here is currently in Trustee Area 2, and we put it in Trustee Area 1 to ensure that all of the city of Alameda was within Area 1.
This spot right here, it looks to me like that's the business park.
So I'm not sure, like I said, Trustee, we use the city boundary here, right? So all of this is in the city of Alameda here, and all of this on the other side is in the city of Oakland.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, seeing no other questions, I have gavelled out, and can I have a motion to accept the map?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. May I have a second? Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez UN. Roll call, please.
Student Trustee Hogan?
Yes.
Student Trustee Cooper?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez UN?
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia Bellarice?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you again. All right, let's go to 4.2. We have our second public hearing on Peralta Community College District's initial proposal to the PFT's initial proposal to the district. This being the time and date notice the Board of Trustees will now convene a public hearing to receive public comment on the initial proposal to the PFT's initial proposal to the district listed on this agenda. Gavel in, were there any comments, public comments for this public hearing? And are there any members of the public that would like to address this issue at this meeting?
I see no hands with the public attending.
Oh, there's one.
Oh.
That's actually Jennifer Shanowski. I'll promote her to panelist.
Thank you, Mike.
I'm going to go to the public, Trustee Withrow, unless that is a latent hand from the previous agenda item.
I'm sorry.
And your hand is still up.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble with my computer here.
No worries.
Sorry.
No worries. Okay, we have one public comment. Are they in the room?
I guess that means I'm going to speak.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah, I just want to point out as you review the items that PFT is bringing as openers, I'd like for you all to review the fact that full-time faculty within this district are some of the lowest paid faculty. If we compare the salaries of full-time faculty to our administrators' salaries, you will see that we top out below what administrators start at. And to our colleagues on the Board of Trustees who serve as faculty members, you will see that you make substantially more than the faculty in this district. So I hope that you consider the way that we are relying on faculty. We are under hiring faculty and we are underpaying faculty. And I'm sure that the staff are treated similarly, but I don't know those numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more public comments?
I don't see any other hands raised.
And Dr. McKinley, are you presenting on this at all?
No, President Reese, there's
Okay, great. Thank you. Since there are no more comments, I will declare the public hearing closed. Thank you. Gavel out. Okay. For purposes of clarity, Dr. Jackson or Connor, do we need to vote on this?
Thank you very much, Trustee. You don't have to, but it is perfectly okay to do so.
Move approval.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Jenkins. Roll call, please.
Student Trustee Hogan?
Yes.
Student Trustee Cooper?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan?
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Pope?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Valley-Reese?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Let's move on to presentations. 5.1, our enrollment report update. Give this to you, Dr. Droker.
President Reese, if I might just
Yes.
briefly comment.
Please do.
Yes. So just on the item we just passed, I want to point out that the Board of Trustees engaged in several hours of training prior to our session today on interest-based bargaining. And for members of the public, I think this is a critical point that we need to be emphasizing, that what we're hoping to do is create a negotiations environment that's a win-win, where we don't look at each other as adversaries, but we look at each other as colleagues. And I don't know how well that's going to work. We've got a training in it. I think that's what we aspire to as a district. That's what we aspire to as a board. So I hope moving forward, we can have collegial discussion, really with the idea that we all do better when we all do better. And if everybody gets a voice at the table on that, maybe we'll find some progress there. So that's the aspiration. We don't always reach exactly what we're trying to get to, but that's the aspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez Yuan. I think that was a very important comment and totally appropriate for the moment. Thanks. All right, let's go to 5.1. Dr. Droker, I'm going to give this to you.
Thank you so much, President Reese and members of the board, colleagues, friends, community members, students. I am going to just take a brief minute to introduce our the head of our institutional research department, who will be presenting enrollment data for you tonight. We are doing our best to start to present data in a way that will be consistent so that we are all using the same definitions and understand the perspective in which those research questions are being asked. So I want to introduce our Associate Vice Chancellor, Dr. Francisco Herrera, who will walk us through the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Droker, and thank you, Chancellor, Board of Trustees, Peralta colleagues, and guests for this opportunity to present on just an enrollment update throughout the district. I'll go ahead and share my screen. So today I just want to give a brief update of where we stand in terms of our enrollment. And to begin, I just kind of want to give a snapshot of our census enrollment. This shows both the current academic year, 2021 through 2022, as well as a 3-year average. I do want to point out that these numbers, these census enrollment numbers are a snapshot from February 10th. So these numbers, especially the spring numbers, are not final. They will be increasing, especially due to late start classes. So spring numbers will be final probably at around, I'd say, end of March, early April. But I wanted to be at least able to show you kind of where we stand at the given time. What I want to show you what this table kind of represents is enrollment numbers for this past summer, fall, and our current spring. You'll see this table is broken out by both each of the 4 colleges, and I've divided it up by both enrollment on campus courses and online, just to kind of show the differences that we're seeing. And I know there's a lot of numbers here, so I don't want to take up too much time to divide it, but I just want to bring to your attention, if you'll notice the numbers here online, we still have a pretty high demand for online courses. That's where the majority of our enrollment is. But as you'll see here, our on-campus enrollment, we are starting to see that. We have an almost 2-fold increase on enrollment from fall to spring. So we're definitely seeing, as we're opening up and offering more online, in-person classes, enrollment starting to trend up in that direction. And as it was previously mentioned, I should take this time to bring that we are just launched a student survey that deals around enrollment management, where we are asking students about their preferences for the upcoming academic year, and trying to better understand what courses they're most interested in taking, and as well as the modality of those courses. So hopefully that will be very successful, and that way have even more information and data that we can use for planning purposes. So as you can see, so that's kind of just what I wanted to highlight in this table, to kind of show the direction that we're at, and kind of a little bit of where we're heading. So if I move on to my next slide, I kind of want to go over fill rate. So we can kind of look at the fill rate across the district and within our classes, within the colleges. And again, we can see we're seeing differences. Again, not surprisingly, we're showing a lot more higher fill rate in terms of online than we are in person. But again, we are seeing numbers starting to increase for the spring semester across most of the colleges and throughout the district. And so in terms of looking at our fill rate, again, not surprising, even throughout all the colleges, it's still more heavily online than it is on campus. And so, you know, that's great. When you look at it by individual colleges, you'll see obviously we have higher fill rates, like for instance, Merritt, for Merritt, summer, fall, and spring, they're having very high capacity in terms of online compared to some other colleges. So whether, you know, and again, obviously, we're kind of making towards that. Again, it's not surprising that we're not at very high capacity yet. Our enrollment is still kind of trending down. That's not, you know, surprisingly. Unfortunately, we're still not at where we were at pre-pandemic levels, but we can see that it's slightly, you know, starting to change, starting to grow in different areas. And obviously we see, you know, it's changing within different colleges, depending on, and definitely on the modality, depending whether that's on campus or online. And so, and then I want to just show you something interesting in terms of the fill rate. What this graph here somewhat represents is just sort of the fill rate as it's across the enrollment time. So if you look at here from this graph, this is where the term begins. And so this is 15 days before the term. Out here is 15 days after the term begins. Not surprising, we see a tick up 15 days out, steady increases in the fill rate as students are registering for courses, and then it sort of flattens out as after the term begins. What's interesting here is just that for 2022, we're a lot similar here to 2021. Unfortunately, you know, for some strange reason, 2021 had a very much higher fill rate capacity. That's something kind of we're exploring right now to just kind of better understand why that was the case. But we're having pretty much a similar trend to spring 2020. And then what I wanted to also highlight here is just to give you an oversense of what our total unduplicated head counts are. And as you can see, since 2018 to now, we've still seen this steady decline. Obviously, because of the pandemic, that really, you know, really dropped our enrollment numbers. That's not only true for Peralta, but for all community colleges throughout the state, as well as nationwide. So these effects we're still in that pandemic, our enrollment. Hopefully this might change if the situation gets better. In terms of what unduplicated head count, I just want to remind everyone, this is just the actual number of individual students enrolled. So students may be enrolled in one or more classes, but this is, they're here on unduplicated, they're only counted once. So this is different than FTES, where full-time equivalent students, one FTES is equal to one student taking a full load of classes. So that's how this differs. But what I wanted to show is in this comparison is that even though what we're seeing is enrollment going down, this is also, I wanted to highlight that in contrast here with the number of sections being offered. And you'll see that while we do have somewhat of a decline, it's not as dramatic of a decline as what our enrollment is. You know, so here we'll see that, well, we have this decline. We're still offering a good number around of sections. So I think that's what's really impressive, that, you know, so we're still having a good number of sections offered to the students, even if as we're declining in enrollment. So I think that's something of a positive note there. And then what I wanted to just finally kind of show is something on a very positive note is we're still seeing a great deal of growth in our dual enrollment. And so I really want to reach out to my dual enrollment colleagues who have been really doing a great job, you know, building up our dual enrollment programs. We keep increasing year over year. There's lots of more resources out there available for dual enrollment. And I think we're doing a really great job. And I'm glad to see that our dual enrollment courses continue to thrive even during this environment. So yeah, that's a positive note. So thank you. And that concludes my presentation.
I see a few questions. Trustee Withrow, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, a brief question on the spread. If I recall correctly, it's about a third in terms of students that come in to pursue a four-year degree eventually, career technical education, and then continuing education, including dual enrollment. Of those three, is one standing out, dropping more than the other? I guess one of my concerns would be career technical education, where a lot of it would make sense to be face-to-face.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. That's definitely something that we definitely do need to look at that more. Really, I mean, this is just over an overview of growth of our dual enrollment. I definitely want to look closely at the data, and I definitely would look forward to presenting that again at a later time, just really trying to understand where that dual enrollment growth is happening. That's also something I want to look at in terms of the sections, you know, that graph I showed about the sections. One of the things my team is also looking at, which is a good point, is that we're also wanting to look at the modalities. So is that growth in more on the in-person or online, just seeing that differences, and then how is that different by major or division? There's a lot more that we're working on to kind of break that down, so we have more of that specific data to help us know and pinpoint exactly where that growth is trending.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions, trustees? Trustee Gonzalez-Guillen?
Thank you. That's really helpful. I'd be also interested in seeing, and I think the board would be interested in seeing, the comparative data to Baytown, California, nationwide. You referenced that everybody's declining, and kind of seeing what that looks like comparatively, I think would be helpful. I'm trying to understand from your presentation what our current strategy is then. So we've got data, we know we're in trouble. We're going to be in real trouble if we, you know, at the point where we're not being held harmless for enrollment. So we've got some kind of a strategy going on. So that's one thing I'd like to understand is, so what inferences do you draw at this point? Or is it just too early? You're just really looking at the rough data and trying to get your hands around it. That's one question. And the second, and it's a related question, is what are we learning from students, faculty, and staff? Now, I know it's hard to study students who aren't there. That's a trick, like, okay, well, where did they go and why aren't they there? But there are students who are there, and there are faculty and staff who are probably the most knowledgeable people in terms of what are we trying, what's working, what's not working, what is the experience of students, what are their actual barriers? What are we learning from students, faculty, and staff, and how are we learning that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll try to address that second question first. As we mentioned, I definitely think that we definitely want to reach out to students, faculty, and staff to kind of get their understanding of what's sort of happening on the ground, something that we don't capture just looking at just the enrollment data per se. So definitely, I think we're starting now with the student survey. I'm hoping that it's very much of a success, and that's something we can kind of do ongoing, and having a better understanding of when's the best time to survey students, so that we get their feedback in a timely manner that can inform faculty in terms of building schedules and understanding what the students want. And I think it would be also interesting as well and informative to kind of reach out to faculty, to survey them, to kind of get their impressions and better understanding of what they're seeing, of what they're understanding, and their knowledge of where sort of student movement is happening. So I'd be happy, that's something we would look forward to doing more research in sort of that sort of information gathering to kind of as another aspect to what we're doing in terms of enrollment management. And to your first question, it's hard to understand really the trends. That's why we're kind of starting to engage in more of this analysis and looking at different parts and different types of data. So, the Chancellor and the Executive Cabinet has really, sort of charged me with really kind of looking more closely into this data and using our office to kind of help with enrollment management. And so I know they're building a lot more strategies and using a lot more of this information. And so as we're starting to dig deeper and looking at the data, we are starting to kind of dig deeper and trying to find out exactly where we should, strategically focus our resources and our priorities in order to kind of mitigate some of the downward enrollment that were happening. And so we're hoping to use that, and hopefully we'll have better trends for fall 2022.
So I guess I'm going to suggest a strategy here as a procedural strategy. And you're the staff, you figure it out. I'm a trustee, and I don't get into the operational side in a functioning way. I see chancellors smiling at that. But let me now just make a suggestion about how we do this. We have a bunch of PhDs and master's level educators who day to day, and staff people who day to day have their hands on this. And so if we just do an environmental scan and we say, well, here, give us your one-time input, that's certainly better than not doing that at all. But I think it's that day-to-day texture that helps you understand the data in a much better way. And I think that if we build out our capacity to tap into that brilliance of the students' actual experiences and the faculty and staff's actual experiences, if that's just part of how we do things, I think we'll do better. And I think we ignore that expertise at our peril. So the other thing that I'm just really, kind of curious about is we're having decline of FTES, but we're also declining in number of sections we're offering. It's kind of a trade-off. What is that trade-off? Why aren't we willing to just say, look, we've got extra money, we're being held harmless, we're going to run smaller sections. That's just what we're going to do, because that's, one, it's safer, and two, we've got money. We keep getting funded at the same level. Let's keep offering more classes. Yeah, and they'll be less productive, but we'll still be able to retain some growth. And in that growth is the seed of more growth. Why aren't we doing that? Why are we cutting sections here, do you think?
Oh, I'm going to jump in, and because I just want to remind that Dr. Herrera is an institutional researcher. He's not a president or a chancellor, and I don't want him to try to postulate and say what he thinks, because he's a data guy and he has been doing great work to get us that data. And then it's up to us as leaders to take that data and to come up with strategies. One of the things, as I mentioned to the board, and I'll say this in open forum because the board has endorsed us moving forward with that, is that I feel that we need to have a working session to talk about just the things that you mentioned, Trustee Gonzalez-Ewing, is to look, and I will pull something from President Johnson that I thought was over, beyond, and outside. That is something that we need to do when we have our working session. And just for everyone to know, we're looking at trying to do that during the month of March, hopefully, if we can. And we will bring some more data to you. By then, we'll have some initial feedback from the survey that Dr. Herrera has put together. We're inviting faculty and staff to be there. It is going to be a working meeting. So not a presentation type of meeting, but really to roll up our sleeves and to look at this, and for us all to understand collectively what has been going on based upon that data. We don't know exactly, people have anecdotal data based upon their experiences, as you've indicated, Trustee Ewing. But I think sharing that will help us to kind of granularize, pulling all of that. If those are items that are brought forward at that work session are complementary to the same experience across the board or a number of individuals, then that gives us a data point to work from. And that's where we are right now, is collecting the data and then trying to analyze the data. We haven't analyzed the data yet. We're just gathering it. I think Francisco, like I said, has been here maybe 7 months. And so we didn't have an institutional researcher in that role before then. So we're finalizing some items with the student survey. We plan on also doing, like he indicated, faculty survey. We've talked about focus groups because that gives you that qualitative data that you don't always get from just a survey. Themes emerge from those, and they should, if they are accurate analysis of your data, they will be reflected in those qualitative focus groups. They just emerge. They come out and you say, oh my God. So what we thought is actually what people are telling us. So it isn't a guessing game. We haven't got there yet. And we need to lay the foundation for that. And that's why we're looking at having not only a meeting with all of the career education deans, because I believe that Dr. Brown provided a report on that back in November about that is an area that has continued to be, if not growing, at least not declining. Our dual enrollment, as Dr. Herrera has indicated, is something that has continued to increase even during COVID. So those are indicators of strategies that we need to look at trying to increase and to grow and to nurture. So those are our strategies right now, just based upon that data. But I know there's multiple other strategies that are out there that we are yet to explore. So the data will help to inform that, but we still need to do some other legwork and elicit that support that you mentioned from all of the constituency groups, because the data only provides the outline. It doesn't fill in the blanks, so.
Thank you, Chancellor. I know I can always count on a thoughtful and inclusive response from you, like quite seriously. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a few questions, and then I see Trustee Withrow afterwards. Thank you, first of all, because this is very helpful. It's always enlightening to look at data, but being able to kind of drill down and get explanations, because data is just data, and without the analysis, it's not very helpful. So just 3 questions, and this will probably prep us for our study session when we have it too as well. So not necessarily looking for responses, but for the graph with a number of sections offered, and the sections that we've offered, that actually accounts for the cancellations, right? So these are the sections that were offered that went through, that completed its term. Yes. Good, okay. And so given the enrollment decrease from several slides up, which was about 27% between, and I know you're not looking at it right now, but you might remember it because you've been looking at this data for so long. So we cut less than 900 courses, and of course it's still a lot, but we cut less than 900 courses between 2017 and 2021-22, with a drop of about 25% in enrollment. That's interesting. I think it's quite interesting and very telling. I just wanted to kind of call that out. And then when we look at, there was the other graph that actually looked at the fill rates. And so you were saying that the graphs actually were 15 days before the term started and then 15 days after. And what was also interesting to me is that there were still students adding at the beginning of the term after it started, which sometimes we don't account for, right? We look at, we look at the classes and we think, oh, there's not going to be enough people, but that shows that there are students that are still adding the class quite a few, maybe days, maybe a week and a half after the class has started. So I think that that's important information. And then going back to the fill rates at the very top, in my number of years here, which again is very short in duration compared to so many of my other colleagues, I've never seen a fill rate analysis. So this is really interesting to me because it's provocative, right? You're looking at the fill rates, you know, and 43%, 73%, 71%. It'd be interesting as we go into our enrollment sessions, as Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen had said, to look at the fill rates of other colleges too, because I think in our mind, of course, we always want 100%, but we're never going to get 100%. The fill rates are far lower, and some here are significantly lower, right? To the point where it's also kind of questionable. But the other thing that I see here, which is interesting, looking actually at both a 3-year benchmark as well as a 21-22, but maybe more at the 3-year benchmark, that already students seem to be wanting the online format even earlier on in comparison to the face-to-face. Like that was already trending, at least in terms of fill rate, even pre-COVID. So those, you know, I mean, those are going to be kind of interesting to look at and analyze when we do our study session, because there's lots of information here, and I'm sure there's even more information that comparative data from other colleges will certainly give us. I guess I don't have any questions. Those are just comments and takeaways. Trustee Withrow and then Trustee Bonilla. So thank you.
Just briefly, the in a business setting, when you look at a productivity factor that you're supposed to have, in our case 17.5 as I understand it, and we're at 12 or 13, 10, whatever the case is, it seems to vary around. In a business setting, it would be a little like fiscal insanity to think that you could go for a long term with a productivity rate of down a third. But it's not clear to me. It's not clear to me what the impact is, quite frankly, of going from 17.5 to 13, 12, 10, whatever the case is. And I would hope that we can, in this training session that you're talking about, we could make that come alive.
Absolutely. We can kind of look at the data more in terms of that.
Great, thank you.
And Trustee Whitfield, that's exactly why I think the training session is necessary, is that we can have that give and take, not only from Dr. Herrera, who is presenting the information, but also from our vice presidents on the campus that are there, you know, looking, breathing, you know, doing their own analysis, as well as including our faculty and our staff, because they're the front line. Faculty in the classroom and our staff, they're the front line when students come in and ask for support services. So it really is going to take all of us sitting down, looking at the data, looking at the trends. And some of them are important. We may not be able to get fill rates. I'm not sure if that's something that other college researchers are doing right now. But we should be able to get some other comparisons so that we can do some comparative analysis. And I know the presidents probably want to weigh in too, but this was just to get kind of to whet your appetite for what will be coming when we do our full training session around enrollment management, because it's going to take all of us. There's no silver bullet. It's going to take a multi-pronged approach.
Great.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes, thank you. Dr. Herrera, thank you so much for bringing this information forward. And I want to go back to the top of the presentation where Dr. Droker actually gave a framing of this, in which I thought it really piqued my attention, because what you talked about was continuity. You talked about making sure that we're all using the same definitions. for the same things. And I think for us as trustees, this is really, really important because continuity and how information is brought forward to us is what we have in front of us. It's what we use to ensure and balance against and we look at against our policies, our goals, our vision. And so I want to thank all of you for bringing information forward that not just is easy on the eyes to read, but that the continuity for comparison is going to be really important from listening to my my colleagues, my trustees, that's what we're looking for. How are we benchmarking what we're doing? How do we know what we've accomplished and where we're going based on the data that's in front of us? And so I don't have a question. I'm looking forward to diving deeper, understanding better, understanding how we best create strategies. As we heard earlier, the reference to what are the best strategies that we're putting in place to achieve the best outcome for our students: enrollment, retention, persistent, all those things that come together for us. So, and I love our president used the word provocative. This data is provocative, and it most certainly is. So I appreciate that and look forward to a deeper dive, Chancellor, as you mentioned, with a study session. So thank you all.
If I could just jump in, thank you, Trustee Bonilla. One of the things that we've been working on, Dr. Herrera and I together, is we looked at other models out there because we really want to present this this shouldn't just be an update and then you get something else in an update. We want to build on this foundation so that you see the same, I'm going to call it a data handbook, or it could be a data dashboard, but what institutional research under Dr. Herrera's leadership has done is that we've been able to build a consistent way to use these definitions and present it to you. We don't want you buried in 40 slides. So we want you to be able to get this snapshot, be able to use it for comparisons, understand what research questions we asked when we pulled the data. And we know that enrollment management, I mean, that is such a lofty term. We talk about it like there's kind of this quick fix, but enrollment management is scheduling management, it's onboarding management, it's retention management, it's marketing management, and all of those things have to come together in an integrated planning model between the district and all the colleges. So I really want to thank the Chancellor. She's set us on this course, and I think that we are really going to see some really strong strategies coming out of this work. So thank you.
President Reese, can I take a second bite here?
Absolutely. You sure can.
Thank you. I'm really appreciating the richness of the discussion. Dr. Droker and Trustee Bonilla, the combination of something you just said really hit me. So in the data that we got, you've got it divided between on campus 100% and then other. And it's complicated right now because we don't even know what students really want on the front end. Like, are they going to sign up for a hybrid? How much face-to-face do they want? Do they want synchronous online or asynchronous, or how much? And then we've got this additional set of questions. Not only do they enroll, but then do they stay in the class? And then did they re-enroll and persist? And that's, the huge part that drops out. It's like we fight to get these people onto campus and then they completely disappear. We have to fight to get brand new students. If we could increase persistence, you get a lot more bang for the buck there. As we do this working session, Chancellor, if in fact those other metrics can be broken out, and then here's really what I think is critical is I asked the question, what is our strategy? And unless we make that strategy explicit, here's what we're doing. We're offering these kinds of sections, blah, 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 blah. Now, let's look next year and see what happened there. We had a theory about why this worked. We had a strategy. Did it in fact work? Yeah. And if we can approach the data with that strategic viewpoint, I think as a board, we'll feel way more confident that whatever policy directions we're asking you to pursue are going to be much more rewarding. We'll understand it better, and we'll be able to set better policy so that when you all then go to implement it, we'll be more clear about what we've asked for. So anyway, I really appreciate data breakout, and just make it more complicated for us, would you? Thank you.
We're hoping not to make it more complicated, but to make it just a consistent presentation of the data, dissected, like we said, by online, by hybrid, and by face-to-face. And that way we can look at those strategies. And if something comes up, like I saw the persistence, well, I will say the fill rate at Merritt College, what are they doing that maybe we aren't doing at the other colleges? So let's dive into that. Maybe there is something that is there that we aren't aware of just by looking at the numbers. So that's exactly what we're trying to do. I did want to transition just a bit. I had asked Dr. Joker if she would provide just a update on the fraudulent enrollments. That was just something that we dealt with in the fall. The state, I think, is still working on a fix with CCC Apply. But if you would address that, Dr. Joker, just to give the board an update, because we've now gone through the spring semester, and if it's having the same impact that it had in the fall.
So I'm going to ask our board clerk if she would share the slides. I just have a couple of slides, and you'll see it's very good news. So we'll go ahead to the next slide. So first of all, I just want to let you know what the process is now. As you know, I think it was about 3 semesters ago that the California Community College system was inundated with bots that were filling out student applications in mass in order to get access to financial aid. So there was a hacking attack on our system, but then there was also students who were doing basically identity theft and were not living in the state and got hold of someone's information and then came to here in California and then filled out loans and got financial aid in their name. So when the system kind of figured this out, Peralta decided to do a strategy in order to limit that impact. So first of all, we implemented a new way of looking at applications. We are holding applications for at the most 2 days, and students who apply get it they get an email saying that the application's being held, it's being reviewed. We have district staff in our admissions and records office. What they do is we actually, thank you, Chancellor, for this, because we use a new platform that attaches to CCC Apply. And by the way, the system office hasn't done it yet. Our Chancellor and our leadership went into quick action in the fall in order to prevent these financial impacts from happening to us. And so it's called IPQS. And that vendor basically, it scores on the likelihood that this application is fraudulent. So if the scoring is 70 or above, that is a likely fraud. You can see that through the slide that the student is basically notified, and we just ask for additional information. So we'll ask for an ID to make sure that they actually are a resident, they're not living somewhere else, or we'll ask for whatever other documentation per the scoring. If the score is below 70, then we just welcome the student. We transfer them into PeopleSoft, and they're welcome into the college. So that was implemented in very late fall. We actually started over winter break. So the next slide, please, Sasha. And you can see here what the difference is. So you can see, back in fall 21, before we even implemented IPQS, you can see we were up to $101,000 of a financial impact. This spring, after this new process, we're at $50 of a financial impact. So I really think we've cut it off. I dare to say that out loud, but the process is working, and I'm just really pleased with what we're doing. Eventually, the Chancellor's office will also use that vendor for all the process system, but thank you to our leadership for putting it in early, because it's really protected Peralta and our students. Are there any questions?
That's such great news to actually get the handle on that very quickly. Wow. Any questions, trustees? Trustee Bonilla?
No questions, just thank you. Because to all the staff and everyone who is doing amazing work to try to battle or contend against something that is just so ominous, and you can't see it, you can't hear it, feel it. And so it's like you have to employ almost a bot-like response to weed out bots, right? Just crazy, just insane, but thank you.
Yeah, the staff that are working on this really, they are doing amazing work, and I really appreciate their diligence. So,
and I will just piggyback on that. The before we got the software program, the analytics, our staff was working on the weekends. I mean that when I say our staff, I'm talking about our classified professionals and our managers were working on the weekends, both in the financial aid area at the district, as well in the Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs and Student Success Office. And then we brought in some support staff, but it was a manual process. I think we were able to put kind of a little bit of a tourniquet on it. You know, looking at hemorrhaging, that's what we were doing at the time, as you can see by the amount of fraud in the numbers. But with the new system and implementing that, and really, I have to say, under the leadership of Dr. Siri Brown and our CTIO, Antoine Mihuele, we were able to get it installed and get it implemented. And it has been extremely helpful because the state chancellor's office hasn't moved forward with it, but you can see it is working for us. So thank you, Dr. Joker, appreciate that. And also thank you, Dr. Herrera, for both of your presentations.
Thank you. Looking forward to many, many more presentations like this. Let's move on to 5.2, Public Safety and Security Update. Director of Public Safety, Director Thomas.
So while they're bringing up the PowerPoint slides, I'll just give a quick overview so we don't go through a lot of the introductions. This report is being provided to our constituency groups and is being recorded. So if someone's not here, they will be able to see it. It is being really led by our Director of Public Safety, Tim Thomas, with the assistance of Interim Vice Chancellor Etheria Smith, because facilities and safety, that's where we house our people, our personnel, our students. So they really go hand in hand. So next slide, and I'll just briefly go over a little bit of background because Tim came to us in November 15th of 2021. So he hasn't been here very long. He attended Chabot College, Community College, has a BA in criminal justice and an MA in criminology, has over 20 years of law enforcement experience, extensive experience both in law enforcement as an officer and also as a college educator, faculty member teaching, adjunct faculty member teaching, as well as in the law enforcement at a community college at our neighboring district, Contra Costa. So with that, I want to turn it over to him because there may be some questions. And Director Thomas, you can proceed.
Thank you so much, Chancellor. Just want to say good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, Chancellor Jackson, presidents, vice presidents, guests, and also students. Next slide. Some of the areas that we're going to focus on, major areas of focus, starting with our risk assessment. We'll start with theft and burglary. Then we'll move into vandalism. Then we'll move into implementation of preventative measures. And then we'll move into customer service and daily activity reports. And then last but not least, our safety student video. Next slide. So risk assessment. So one of the main things coming to Peralta was hitting the ground running, as the Chancellor stated. One of the main things is when I got to Peralta, I wanted to be able to look at some of our threat assessment, I'll say risk assessments. One of the main things that during my campus tours of visiting all of the 4 colleges and meeting with all the 4 presidents and vice presidents and all of our stakeholders on the campuses, I went to a lot of campuses and I stood in the middle of the campus. One of the main things that I really wanted to see is I wanted to see who can I identify from employees versus students. And I had a hard time of doing that. One of the main things that I did was I took a walk on all the campuses on the morning, afternoon, and at night. And just to be able to see if I could really make a difference. One of the main things that I saw as we pivoted from the Sheriff's Department is that IDs. I walked in several buildings, several areas of concern. I was unable to basically, unable to identify who was a staff faculty member from a student worker as opposed to a classified different employee, meaning janitorial, custodial, and etc. Also saw that talking to staff and faculty members in the business offices along the district, that no one knew the safety number of Peralta in case of emergency. So one of the main things that I wanted to really implement is I wanted to start with safety signs and numbers on office phones. That was one of the very first things that we started out in our safety campaign. So we started tagging, as you can see, those stickers there with the campus safety, public safety stickers. This was done, and I also want to say I worked with HPLE, Michael Terry, did a great job, and they responded really well with DGS in helping us ascertain getting these stickers out to the campuses and district-wide. We also put APIC signs in large populated areas for students and faculty members to see the numbers. They're outside the library, but also outside of all the areas where all of our students congregate and big populations. Our risk assessment of the district and some of our vulnerable areas. I won't go into some of our infrastructure things that I saw, but what I will say is that when we looked at our vulnerable areas, a lot of things came out of this, and this happened to do with lighting, security cameras, and so on. And I'll mention that moving forward. On my 90-day assessment, one of the main things that I wanted to do is look at our top 5. Is anywhere where you would go. I worked in retail, loss prevention manager, ran big box stores, and so on. We always have our top 5 when we look at shortest action plans and we look at patrol strategies. This particular, as Peralta, as I might say, one of the main things that I looked at was keys. Keys was a big concern. It was one of our top lists of logistics on keys. Who has keys? Who doesn't have keys? Cameras. Looking at our camera project, district-wide, how many cameras do we have out as to when the installations and different things were going to be fixed? Reporting, which is a software system, ARMS, which basically breaks up the 24 categories of clarity. For i.e. example, vandalism, burglary, theft from a person, those things. And it's a reporting writing system. And then moving forward, our escort service and patrol strategies and training. And I think, when we look at these things, the escort service goes into one of our internal functions, but our patrol strategy and training was a particular task that I worked with Marina on, and moving forward, you see some of the dates and times and stuff that we worked on training. Next slide. theft and burglary. Just want to just emphasize on a few of these on the theft and burglary keys. Coming into the district was a big thing on locating keys, finding keys, ascertaining keys, who has them, who doesn't have them. So with that being forward, we looked at other different implementations of keyless entry to doors, moving forward so that we know who's in the buildings, who's not in the buildings, more of accountability. When the campus is closed, we know who's here. Vehicles, golf carts, and trucks. We had, as you might know, we had golf carts stolen, and we had some Cadillac converters stolen from the district office. And so we were looking at implementation on how to slow down the thefts of some of the things that we were dealing with. My first 90 days coming into the district. As you can see below, equipment and tools, several break-ins at Laney from a standpoint of December all the way kind of into January. So we were looking at how do we address some of the theft and burglary issues. As you can see there, fixed bleacher also was taken outside of the field house, and a gate was damaged during the process of that. And then looking at just below the keyless DGS Sledge app. And so when we look at some of the burglaries and some of the thefts, we're looking at to address some of these things, keyless entry, and keyless entry, we'll go a little bit more into that with VC Smith and lighting area of the campus. As you might not know, some of you have been on some of the campus, Oakland is pretty much a dark city. So when we look at cameras and lighting, one of the main things that go hand in hand is lighting. And so looking at Laney, we've in the beginning stage of taking our walk with the college president and looking at the areas in question and concern as we move forward for lighting. Next slide. Vandalism. Big thing. Dealt with a lot of vandalism. Our 60 day into the district. One of the main things, we were dealing with a challenge population surrounding Laney, dealing with transients, dealing with the campus not being occupied for quite some time with COVID. So even on the security side, we were also dealing with the COVID deal. So looking at vandalism, first 90 days experienced arson. We had arson on two of our campuses, Laney and also Alameda. Mayhem in the classrooms, meaning that they were on the break-ins. There were several tiles that were damaged, doors that were damaged, windows that were damaged upon forced entry, and so on. Graffiti on the campus. These things were, as I would say, J.Q. Wilson, broken window theory, things that go unnoticed, usually welcomes in deviant behavior. And as we can see from COVID, without people being on our campus, we can see that some of these theories of criminal justice are in fact working and true in our community. During some of these incidents that I have mentioned, we were able to apprehend a few of the corporates and being able to put things in place moving forward as we pivot. Our law enforcement partnerships. And this is really, really important. I think as we move forward, we've been able to foster communication with OPD on working on a collaborative partnership with regards to training. And myself and the Chancellor and all our stakeholders and executive cabinet, we met with Chief Armstrong. We've met with the Chief Milvia from Alameda, and we're in the process of working with Berkeley as we pivot to a MOU of understanding regards to training and safety for our campus and our students district-wide. Next slide. Preventive measures. These are some of the preventive measures that we have put in place to combat some of the things that I've just talked about, starting with cameras. Currently now on the 28th, public safety is going to get a new list of cameras on our installation that's going on the 28th. We're about 85% as far as on network survey done. but our scheduled installation is on the 28th for our cameras. So we're really excited about these new toys and playing with them and being able to see. And so I'm excited about that. I'm a camera specialist. That's what I like to do. So I'm really looking forward to training marina security and also working with our IT to move forward with how to work with the cameras in our data system. Our keyless entry. With that being said, VC Smith will elaborate a little bit on the keyless entry.
Great, thank you to Director Thomas. Good evening, everyone. The cameras and the blue phones and the security of our facilities has been a long time coming. Many of you can, you know that we've been looking to get new cameras. We've been looking to update the monitors. And of course, we're looking to complete the blue phone installation. Keyless entry. Keyless entry is something that the engineers, DGS managers, we have been looking at for well over a year. So we've investigated 5 different providers, and we think that we've come up with the one that we'd like to move forward with. The first campus that we are looking to install would be Laney and the district office. And this is it would be all of the exterior doors. You will be able to use a ID badge. You can use an app on the phone. You can use, as you see in the picture there, a credit card or a wristband. So those are the ways that we will be able to try to secure our buildings as much as it's the next step for the district in securing our buildings and securing those who come in and out of our buildings, making it safer for the staff, faculty, and students that come to our district. So we're really excited about moving forward with keyless entry. Again, it will be Laney in the district office. Then we will go out to the other campuses, COA, Berkeley City College, and Merritt. We will do all of the exterior doors for the phase 1. And then we will look at the high priority security areas within the campuses, such as our IT rooms, financial aid, and different other areas that need to be secure. But first, we are going to move forward and start securing the exterior of our buildings. I'd turn it over back to Dr. Thomas, Director Thomas.
All right, VC Smith. And now moving on the blue phones, because a lot of folks have asked about the blue phones and what is the status on the blue phones. And the blue phones, the power tower installation as follows. It starts tomorrow, 23rd. They've been installed at Alameda campus tomorrow at 8 a.m. So we're really happy about having the blue phones and starting the installation process. This will take place from February 23rd to March 2nd. And each campus will have a target date moving forward. So we're really happy about the blue phone. Next, Escort Service. I just want to say, send a thanks to DGS, VC Smith, her staff for really making this happen and purchasing golf carts. And what we really want to do with this program is we really want to provide a service for our faculty and our students. First, we want to be able to provide safe location from the parking lot over to Laney and to all of our campuses, wherever campus you might be. But we also want to be able to provide and go a little bit further as customer service, meaning that we want to make sure that when you call the Peralta number, that we can give you an escort to your car. If you're a disabled student, DPS, we can get you to your class and from your class upon calling the number. So we really want to really emphasize and focus on customer safety. And looking at this, that when I came in, I wanted to drive the process. And the process that I wanted to drive was the top 3 things that we wanted to drive. First, we wanted to be visible. So when you come on our campus, you see us. We're in front of buildings. We're able to address concerns of safety, right? Because we're visible. Second, customer service. Hello, ma'am. Good morning. We wanted to make sure we drive that process, walking in buildings, making sure people see us, making sure people feel safe. And the third thing is professionalism. Being that we understand that we work in a college environment, we need to be professional at all times, but also be professional with the way we take care of our business. And so those three things is something I've been driving with Marina. We focus on those three things on all of our training moving forward: visibility, customer service, and professionalism. And I hope that when we drive those three things, we can bring that with the escort service for our faculty and our students and VIPs that may come on upon our campus upon request. Our Merritt College Cadet Program, very, very sentimental to me. I am a police cadet protege. I come from that. It started my career. It started my dream as going into public safety. So I definitely want to make sure that we extend that invitation to those female students and also male students who have an interest in going into public safety. So we definitely want to start that program. Well, Ms. Mitchell Oliver, I've met with her. It is a program I'm really excited about. They will be assisting us on holidays and different things as far as on district-wide. And so we're excited about the training program and excited about the population of getting this program back up and running to service our community with our young men and young women who may have an interest or dream in law enforcement or any public sector that has to do with public safety. And then our legislative advocacy program funding. This is something that I've met with the Chancellor on, and we're trying to get this proposal. Don't want to get out in front of the Chancellor, but it's a model program that we're with San Diego and 3 initiative districts, and we're trying to get this legislative going with Los Angeles Community College District, Fresno, and also Yuba Community College District. Next slide. As I just mentioned, our top 3 things: visibility, customer service, and professionalism. As you can see in December, after the first 60 days, we were dealing with a lot of different things district-wide. One of the main things that I really wanted to focus on was training. So when I came in, I put together and implemented training, and we wanted to work with Marina Security on customer service and training and reporting. We wanted to take December and train all of our supervisors. So you can see we trained the supervisors. We also wanted to work on de-escalation. So we did that December 20th and 21st. And then we went a step further the next week. We went 27, 28, we did report writing. And then we worked on SB 1626, which is a class that defines the role of a security guard on a college campus. These are some of the needs we identified immediately. So we took advantage of the time that people were gone in December, and we wanted to get in and get the training. So we had work to do. So we got the work done. Last but not least, we went to our DAR, which is our daily activity reports. This report right here is very, very crucial. And this report gives us exactly what a Marina Security is doing within an 8-hour shift. We put together safety metrics because it gives us not only our vulnerability time points, but we're looking at doors that are being checked and offices being checked and routine strategies. And so on our DAR, which are daily activity reports, it tells you when the officer checked the door and the frequency of the checks, which is very important as an investigator when you're trying to put a time and just find out when this person entered this building unauthorized, talking about a burglary, referring to 459 PC, a burglary with the intent to commit theft. So again, these are things that was put in place from a security investigative standpoint with Marine Security. Marine Security has been able to help me capture this data and has responded efficiently and very well. So I'm very, very happy with Marina and their staff with driving the process and what we've focused on, which are our top 3. Next slide. And again, here's some of our clarity reporting. I know you can't see the statistics on the paper, but it just emphasizes the Clarity Reporting Act. And what this is this is the particular report that each president gets each month. They get a chance to see exactly the training. They get a chance to see exactly how many costs of service that was generated district-wide. They also get a chance to see the total Clarity Act with reportable crimes, which means that these were crimes that actually occurred on our campus. They also get a chance just below to look and see if there were any special different reports that was not mentioned. And as you can see, the highlight, there are several different data reports that go hand in hand with our Clarity reporting as we move forward. And that was the December activity report. Next slide. And last but not least, I definitely want to thank executive, Mark Johnson and his staff, Angel Hunter, for helping me create our first annual Peralta safety video. I was very, very excited about this because I've always wanted to do a safety video. So I got a chance to get it done here at Peralta. So I thank the IT, Mark Johnson and his team in making this video. I think that this is a great video that we could share with our students. And I kind of thought about this from a faculty standpoint, if I could just pivot for just a minute. At all the times that I've taught in any university throughout the country, I've always played the Run, Fight, Hide video as a safety, as a faculty member, and always locked my door because I was always scared as a faculty member. But now as I pivot, I think that we could play this video and captivate the students while they sit in the seat. I think that when we look at the first day of school's instruction as a recommendation, it is just something that while we got the students sitting in the seat, we play our safety video, and at that time we have them. And we can, install the health safety shield video or the app on our phones. We can play the Run, Fight, Hide video. And I think that first 10 minutes of class is crucial because everybody's excited and everybody wants to get energetic about the teacher and find out what's going on. When I do things and look at safety concerns, I always like to pivot and look at it from a faculty member as well. So I hope that this video is used for our students so that we can better assess ourselves and make sure that we're safe by providing the number that you will see in the video. And also the teachers providing this video so that our students can have access to it. Thank you so much. And we'll watch the 1 minute short video.
Okay, I want you guys give me thumbs up once I share that, just to make sure it comes through. Okay, just that you're hearing it. I'm sorry. Oops. All right, let me try that one more time. There we go.
Welcome to the Peralta Colleges. Welcome to the Peralta Colleges. This message will cover safety tips and what you can do to keep yourself safe in 5 easy steps. 1. Always be aware of your surroundings and travel with others when you can. 2. Never leave your property unattended. Take things with you when you step away. 3. Properly secure your bicycle to a bike rack with a reliable lock. 4. Always roll up your windows, lock your car, and take your keys with you before leaving. 5. Save emergency numbers in your phone now so you always have the resources you need to act quickly in an emergency. If you need assistance, or if you're in immediate danger, contact the Peralta Public Safety Switchboard at 510-466-7236. All of these tips will help you stay safe both on and off campus. Stay safe out there.
Are there any questions for IVC Smith or Director Thomas before we turn it back over to the board president?
Trustee Gonzalez, you went?
I can't believe none of my colleagues have questions. All right, I'll go.
There are.
Oh, okay, here. Put somebody in front of me.
Trustee Andy.
I just wanted to thank you for a great presentation. We have a lot of questions and rumors and things going on about safety, and it's really great when we can know exactly what is happening, what things are being put into place. I think the video for students is a great idea. It's just empowering them by just making them be observant from the very beginning. And I also like the idea of having more carts. I mean, no matter what, it's not a comfortable thing traveling around on a big campus at night. And to have people to walk you or to pick you up, and even the possibility of calling so someone can pick you up in a golf cart. I think that'll go a long ways in making a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable. So thank you guys for a great presentation and for also keeping us informed and all the great things that are happening around safety on our campus.
Trustee Withrow.
Thank you for the presentation. Very complete and very extensive. Where do you stand from the standpoint of negotiating and finalizing an MOU with Alameda, Oakland, and Berkeley police departments?
I'll jump in, Tim, and you can piggyback on what I have to say. I think we're very close. When we met with them, I explained, I did the introductions, and then as you can see, the passion and the energy from Director Thomas kind of took over after that. And I indicated to them that we are not going backwards. We are not here to ask them to do what the sheriff's office was doing previously. We have a new model, but we do know that if we get into trouble, that we need to have some backup and we need to be able to rely on them. They need to know what our campuses look like. So if we do call for help and we say, if we're in Alameda, we're in building E, they know where building E is on the campus. They need to know what the avenues or approach are for our campus. And we need to work with them so that if we do call for assistance, they know who, Interim Chancellor Jackson is. They know who Director Thomas is. So I believe they were extremely supportive. I thought we might get a little bit of pushback from them, but they said, we would love to have you do some training. We know that training, social justice, restorative justice, de-escalation, those types of things, we can provide some expertise at the table, and they understand, are willing to work with us. They also are looking at their ranks, our students coming in and working with them on internships, our students in our program, and enhancing our curriculum. So if there are things that they need in terms of training, maybe there's some, quid pro quo that we can provide training, they can provide assistance to us, and also looking at in the future, if we get the grant from the state regarding our reimagining and help with launching our program, also working with us on that. So,
great.
Tim?
Yes, sir. Oh, and just to add to with the Chancellor, I think again the training, the meeting went well, and so I think as we pivot, I'm looking forward to them coming on our campus, helping us, our safety teams, helping us get ready for in case of emergency, and I'm really excited about that as we move forward.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen.
Thank you, Director Thomas. Welcome. It was a long haul getting you here, and like years in the making, really. This board unanimously pushed for a very different model of policing, and we didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but we gave a very clear direction. We didn't need and want armed officers as a routine part of our police force. And I think you're really innovative and with a lot of energy to work with us to figure out this new model. I was interested in the training piece that you raised up. One, because it's not clear right now. I think some people on the campus sort of what the role of Marina is, what's the role of student aides, what's the role of the police, what's the division. Example, at Laney, not too long ago, there was a student, actually, I don't know whether it was a student, an instructor came across somebody, I think they were a student who was bloodied, and they called Marina, and Marina basically called 911. So it took a long time to get help for the student. And so there was some gaps. We're going to need to work that out. I think. So, you've stepped into a brand new era here, and that's cool. Question: if in fact we were to try to build out a very different model of community safety at Peralta, and we were going to try to use our police academies to do it, we were going to try to use the restorative justice people. You talked about having a de-escalation model. If there was one thing you would want every single police officer, security officer, community worker to know that really kind of fit into that anti-racist model, if there was one piece of curriculum, because you talked about focusing on that, what would you build in?
Great question. And working on a lot of various campuses, even coming from Contra Costa, I would say that the key piece would be communication. If it can be worked, I think as a young man, there's a big difference in policing in the municipality and policing on the community campus. Big difference. And I think, looking at that from a different set of lenses, addressing Marina concerns as we speak. Marina has been, I've never seen a security company, as I might say, who usually has dealt with parking lots respond so quickly to training. This has been very different than any place I've ever been. And the reason why I say that is because there's so many moving pieces at Peralta. And to come in here with Marina staff, to give some implementation direction of where we want to go, with having experience of working on a college campus, understanding how a college campus functions and how it operates, we were able to pivot really fast and get things addressed, which made my job a lot easier being here. So, if I can answer that question fully, sir, I think that moving forward, we're going to use all of our resources, our cadet program, to try to build a community-based evidence public safety plan here at Peralta. It is going to take some time. And so yeah. I think that that's the key, is that we ask for time. There is a big difference from 4 months ago to now. And we're getting better. As a basketball player trying to shoot a jump shot, we're getting better, but we have to practice. And that's just what it takes. And we're willing to put the work in, as we've taken advantage of the times when students and faculty are not here and we're not taking a day off with training to get better. So thank
you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think when you look around the country and you look at the number of people who said defund the police and this and that, and then you look at the number of institutions that actually did anything, we're among a handful of institutions that said, no, we're really serious about doing this. We don't know exactly how to do it. It's going to be tricky. And finding the balance between having people feel safe in a traditional way, and then also having a security force, a safety force that all of our students will want to go to as opposed to run away from. That's going to be the challenge here. And I welcome aboard. Thank you for your work. I look forward to seeing what you and the rest of our community build out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
One more question. I'm sorry, my computer died, so I am still on the phone. Thank you, Director Thomas, for that presentation. It was comprehensive, and that video was awesome. It really was. You had said that the Blue Phone installations will begin tomorrow and then will end sometime in March. I know, again, in the short time that I've been here, that probably over $3 million have been spent on Blue Phones and then also on cameras, but I think never in the duration of time that I've been here have those Blue Phones been working. As Vice Chancellor Etheria Smith had said, it's been a long time coming. So I guess the question I have is, the millions of dollars that we put forth in the installation of those Blue Phones, was it all for naught? And you don't need to answer that now, but at some point, if we can get a report on what we've invested and what happened to those phones that we invested in, if anything at all, I think that would be really helpful in terms of kind of the company that we use and our pathway forward, and hopefully there's just information that we haven't been given about the status of the phones. It's actually more positive than it seems like it has been.
I would say I know that Chief of Staff Royal Roberts was writing that down and capturing that, and we will get that information back to you.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you. And then I'm also just going to give this to Deanna for a second because, like I said, my computer just died. So if Deanna, you could take over until I come back up on a computer. That'd be great.
No worries. Trustee Handy, I believe, was next.
I thought that was a legacy hand.
Is that a legacy hand? Okay,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla.
Yes, thank you. I just want to echo the sentiments from the previous all the previous trustees who spoke on this issue and support those sentiments. And I want to thank you, Director Thomas. I lose everyone. I don't know if it's happening to everyone else, but these little tiles of faces are just moving all over the place. Very active. So great presentation on safety. I agree. This is about a work in progress, but the progress you all have made, I think in short order has been transformative. I think it will continue to be that. I know that you have, I hope I can say this freely, that you have the support of the board and obviously of the entire administration on this issue of creating some sort of hybrid. And I think Trustee Gonzalez was right. We know what we did not want. We weren't sure what we're moving forward into. But we do this with the utmost responsiveness to our students, to safety, and to all those protocols. And so I just want to thank you for being creative, for being responsive, and for figuring out how we move this forward. Because this is truly a test of our will and a testament to providing a safe environment for all. Throughout our entire district. So I just want to thank you for those efforts and look forward to the follow-ups and the information that was requested as follow-up. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think that concludes our briefing to the board on safety. And Vice President Delphine Polk, we'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Director Thomas, as well. I believe we are on track to go to the consent calendar, but I believe 6.1 was pulled, was it not?
Yes. 6.1 is pulled for an action item as opposed to a consent. But I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Student Trustee Hogan,
Yes.
Student Trustee Cooper,
Yes.
Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Handy,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla,
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
That
President
concludes
Reese?
it. It doesn't
She
work.
might have, she stepped away.
Oh, all
Her
right.
computer doesn't work.
I'll put her as absent for that one then.
Okay, thank you. And then next is the action items.
Yes, ma'am.
Should we start with 6.1?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 6.1 is board will conduct a first reading of board policy. That would be the Chancellor.
I can't hear you, Chancellor.
Unmute, Chancellor.
Might be
there
muted,
we go.
Chancellor.
I'm sorry.
I think we need a motion and a second to proceed in discussion.
I think this is just a first reading.
Is it just a first reading?
Right, and I
see.
think that was the reason that it was pulled. It is not really a consent item other than an informational item. We have the first reading of that. Board policy is included in 1200 for the mission statement. We had a retreat in January where we drafted a mission statement with minor modifications from what went through the participatory governance. In the February meeting, we approved that in total. And because it was a board policy, it must go through the same process as our other board policies. So this is the first reading of that policy. There was a question, I believe, from Trustee Withrow regarding it, in that on the webpage, we go into details about what the mission statement means. That will remain the same. If the board approves this at the second meeting, at the second reading of that, it will be placed above that narrative. The narrative goes into detail about what student success is, about what our values are, and all of that will remain the same. So I don't know if you wanted to add any more to that, Trustee Withrow, but I hope that captures our discussion.
We could get a motion in a second for discussion.
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
The reason for pulling it was, and the Chancellor talked about the details, but if we could have on the website, in an appropriate spot on the website, an addendum to this that would be strategic elements of the district mission, which details, the articulation agreements and whatever down the line, so that we don't lose that in terms of communicating to the public.
Absolutely.
President Reese, are you back with us? Oh, we can't hear you.
Yes, I am.
Okay, great.
Okay. We are not voting on that, but I see another hand, right? We're not voting on that because it's the first reading.
Right.
But I see one other hand up, Gonzalez-Yuen, Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen.
Thank you. This is actually a really critical thing that we've done here, because in two ways. First of all, this was held up for a long time because the board had literally never been given an opportunity to say anything about the mission. We'd never been given an opportunity to talk about it. And then we actually finally had that. And at the end of the day, we were pretty supportive of the mission that was there. But as a matter of principle, as the elected representatives of our communities, we thought it was important that we have an opportunity to do that in principle. And the one thing that we added was environmental sustainability. And mission states really matter, or they should. When we do our budget, we should be looking back at the mission, vision, and value of this district and saying, are we in fact serving that? Mm-hmm. And by excluding environmental sustainability from the mission statement, we would have been saying something pretty horrible. And so getting it back in was actually, it was a proud moment for our board to really stand up for that critical value in this era. That's a core part of who we are as a district and what we stand for. And I'm really proud of it. I'm particularly pleased that our Chancellor raises it at every opportunity, because that's important. That leadership really matters. Thank you.
Okay, I think that is it. Let us move on then to the next action item. No action on that. Let's move on to the next action item.
Did we need a vote on that?
Apparently,
there was a motion and a second.
There was a motion and a second for the addendum, to add the addendum to the website. That was all.
Oh, all right.
That was just the reason.
So did we need a vote on
Normally
that?
You don't.
Okay. I'm not playing parliamentarian. I'm just asking the question whether we are taking a legal action, and that's all. So we're good.
So here's a question. It was originally on the consent calendar. Should we just vote anyhow, or again, it's a first reading?
There's no downside to that. There's no downside.
Let's vote.
Okay, we're just making things up as we go along. All right, for a roll call, please.
Student Trustee Hogan. Yes. Student trustee Cooper?
I'm gonna abstain at the time just because that left me a little confused.
Not a problem. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk?
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Ewan?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to 11.1. Consider readoption of resolution number 21/22-51 for District Brown Act covered legislative bodies to continue conducting meetings via teleconference per California Government Code Section 54953. And I will give this back to Chancellor Jackson because we've had some conversations as a board with you all.
Yes, we
Correct.
have. Thank you, President Abella-Reese. At the request of individual board members, I've had conversation. It has not been a serial meeting. It has been no violation of the Brown Act. It's been one-way communication. And in those discussions, I was asked for my recommendation, and this particular resolution or readoption of a resolution allows the board to continue to meet via teleconference. And my recommendation is that we move to a hybrid approach in open session, but we need to determine what that is. We have not done that. Are we going to completely open it up? Are we going to have it kind of a semi-closed where we still do online? And the board still needs to make a decision on that and have a discussion about that. So my recommendation is that we do approve this, and then during the month of March, that we come back, because I think we do need to, just like we're requiring our employees, and that we're doing a soft launch. We're not back 100%. I think that that we would model what we're asking our employees to do, but we still need to have that discussion regarding that. So I am asking the board to adopt or readopt this resolution, and then we can have a discussion on it at our meeting, subsequent meeting. It may take both March, but that we would finish and make a decision on that and look at something that I think would be a hybrid for us to have a discussion on it though. So that is my comment. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the board unless there's some questions. Oh, I would like to add, I'm sorry, that I also looked and did a survey to see what other college districts are doing. And I talked with, during the Community College League legislative conference, there were a number of community college CEOs there, and that was an item of discussion. And so there are some college districts that an informal survey, I won't say it was a formal survey, but some districts are doing hybrid. In fact, I think the vast majority are doing some type of hybrid. There are some that are meeting completely face-to-face, and then there are others that are continuing on strictly online. So it's from one extreme to the other. We will have that discussion, but I recommend that we have that and make a decision during the meetings in March.
Move approval.
Second.
Can I have a second? Thank you, Trustee Bonilla. We've had, I see no other discussion. Roll call, please.
Student trustee Hogan?
Yes.
Student trustee Cooper?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins?
No.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk?
Abstain.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Ewan?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 11.2 is our next action item. Consider second reading and approval of proposed board policies and administrative procedures. Dr. Jackson?
Take myself off of mute again. I've had some discussions with, again, individual board members regarding this. I think those questions have been addressed. So we are recommending approval. This is the second reading of these board policies. They've gone through the shared governance. They've been reviewed by our bargaining units, by the Chancellor's Cabinet, and by our highest council, which is our Participatory Governance Council. And so I would recommend that the board approve these.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez Yuen. Roll call, please.
Student Trustee Hogan,
Yes.
Student Trustee Cooper,
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Handy,
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuen,
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We're on the report section of the agenda. Let's start with our student trustees. Student Trustee Hogan.
No. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
No, not right now. I'm having some.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Student Trustee Cooper.
Not this evening, I'm afraid. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Gonzalez Yuen.
I'm going to pass. Thank you. Bill, I think she called you.
Who?
Trustee Withrow. Cindy, your mic is coming in and out.
My mic is done. Anyway, just briefly, last Saturday and Sunday, I spent about 3 hours walking in the campus of College of Alameda, Laney, and Merritt. It dawned on me I hadn't been on the campus for months, and I was pleasantly surprised and pleased at how clean and orderly the campuses were. They were beyond a doubt in as better shape as I've ever seen them, and including the landscaping. And I think from the standpoint of when we bring students back in to look at the campuses, it will be a positive factor in enrollment. Kudos to all hands.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Can you all hear me? Okay, thanks. Trustee Bonilla.
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to take some time to uplift our Executive Director of our Peralta Foundation, Lanice Jones. She was named as a finalist for Icons Among Us. It's a Black Joy Parade in Comcast to honor Black people who do important work in the Black community. And so she's one of the 9 finalists, which is really exciting for us as a college, because the top 3 icons, they're going to narrow it down to 3 icons. There will be a sizable donation made to a nonprofit of their choice. And Lanice has many hats in the fire, and hopefully Peralta is one of them. And I just want to uplift the amazing work she does, her tireless fundraising. And I hope in the future, we as a board can have a conversation about institutionalizing giving to the foundation on an annual basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Jenkins. Trustee Handy.
No.
Trustee Vice President Delphine Polk.
I'll pass. Thank you.
Okay. And I too will pass. That's what happens when we've been on a meeting since 2 p.m. All right. Let us go to announcements.
Yes, give me just a sec.
I'd like to make a closing announcement if that's okay.
Go ahead, Trustee Handy.
Okay. I'd like to close in honor of Paula Welsh. Paula Welsh does incredible things for all of our students, a lot of our activities, graduation, special events. And unfortunately, she lost her husband and sister in a 24-hour period. I was able to have to meet with some people, including her kitchen, who'd come here for the services. And I was just stunned. It's just unimaginable for that to happen. Paul is such a great part of so many of the events that we have. So just want to ask you all to hold her and her family in prayer, because this has been an incredibly difficult time for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Handy. The official announcements I have, first one is, as part of the ongoing celebration of Black History Month, each of the colleges are continuing to host various events throughout the month. Please visit the college website events pages for more information and join us if you can. Number two, speaking of websites, new Peralta website will launch tomorrow, February 23rd. Please visit the new website at www.peralta.edu. And third, the next meeting of the Board of Trustees will be on Tuesday, March 8th. That's all my announcements.
Right, we are at adjournment. It was wonderful seeing everyone. Thank you, everyone. We will see you on March 8th.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Take care. Be safe.